Hey VC, Tara coming at you with another video. This one will be, I think, a bit more reflective. So let me start by talking about just my experience of the VC thus far. And what's been happening is that I've been doing a lot more listening than talking. So there are only 5 videos up on my channel currently. It's been 1 month and I've been spending a lot of time just making the rounds, listening to people, going on their channels, checking out their stuff, engaging with people. And that's been just tremendous. I can't tell you how many friends I've made in just a very short period of time. And that leads me to my main observation about the VC thus far, which is that, wow, I mean, I'm so blown away by the incredible friendship and community that really exists in the VC. You know, not only are there obviously people who are very knowledgeable about music, but they have a high caliber appreciation of music, but they're also, you know, as individuals, just high caliber people, very welcoming, very friendly. You know, just extending a very, very warm welcome to me. And so big up to Vinyl Guru, who reached out to me privately and personally to chat. So appreciated that. Big up to Rachel, the music ma'am, who has these wonderful live streams that I've been just kind of jumping in on and listening into and just getting involved. And she's just so wonderful. So thank you, Rachel, for your warm welcome and just amazing vibes. Big up to Carlos from As the Table Turns for turning me on to the Jazz Shepherd. So I was up till about like 2:30 this morning listening to the Jazz Shepherd and his comments on jazz and music, and what an incredibly insightful individual, not just again knowledgeable about music and jazz, a deep comprehension of jazz and wide appreciation of jazz of all kinds. But not only does he have that knowledge, but he has such an insightful, what an incredibly insightful person, and treating this genre of music with the respect and the compassion and just a certain humaneness in his approach in terms of talking about jazz and talking about music. You know, music is something that comments on just the business of being human. And so it is a way of engaging with reality and, you know, how we engage with reality. And I think that when we come to music from that perspective, I think it also just makes us more open to different kinds of music, when what you're doing when you listen to someone's music is kind of, you are engaging with reality from their vantage point to some degree, I think, you know. And so for me, I guess I'm interested in people and interested in how reality can be known and understood. And so people who engage with reality through music, I'm interested in just, well, you know, how do they see reality? How is that coming across through their music? Meaning musicians now. How is that coming across? How is music, how does it function as a way of commenting on reality, processing reality, interpreting reality? And so, you know, yeah, we're getting reflective in this video, all right? So there's that. And so, yeah, you know, big up to all the people who have reached out to me, whether it's been a friendly chat on Instagram, you know, or just, you know, commenting on my videos and all of that. Big up to Isaac from the Blind Island, who I have to, when I'm watching his videos, I have to walk with, you know, pen and paper, because, you know, invariably he will mention something that I have to just write down, and I'm just like, it's not convenient for me to be watching his video and then trying to go to the notes app in my phone. So I have to just go old school with some pen and paper, right? So big up Isaac. And then yeah, I mean, there's just loads of people, you know, Alan, Static Traveler, who is in part my inspiration for this video, because he had or has a video that's called the act and the art of collecting and listening to music. And so he has helped me to sort of reflect some more, or let's say concretize some more of the reflections that I've been having of late in the last not just 4 weeks since I've been on here, but for the last probably 16 months or so. And so please go give Alan's video a listen if you're interested in that kind of thing, if you're interested in a more reflective discussion of music and the business of collecting music and vinyl. He has a series called Thinking Aloud, so ALLOWED, Thinking Aloud. And so he has these wonderful musings that are quite insightful and will help you in turn to process and reflect on just how you approach the question of your music, right? And so yes, he had this video on yesterday, I think it was. Well, I watched it yesterday, the act and art of collecting and listening to music. And so he first started out by talking about the idea of your record collection as being a single entity, meaning it's one thing. And so, yes, while we do, for convenience sake and just, for sanity's sake, try to organize our records into various categories and all of that, and we have different places that we put records in terms of just practically trying to reach them. I think what he was getting at was a much more philosophical point, that your record collection is really a single entity that belongs to you, the individual, as a single entity, meaning that it's one thing that consists of various parts. And so I was offering in my comment on his video, I said to him that, your record collection is a single entity. It's one thing. So you could have 1,000 records, but it's one entity, one collection. And it is, as I offered to Alan, it is a kaleidoscope of the individual, a kaleidoscope of your experiences, a kaleidoscope of your attitudes, beliefs, your experiences of reality. All of that go into your collection. So all of that goes into, rather, your collection. So but then he began to talk about the question of how we listen to our music. And I was saying to him that, for various reasons, and I think I spoke about this in my first video, that my listening style is, I'm a very active and deep listener. And I think that goes back to being an only child, where music was my companion, so it was a thing to do. And so now, being alone, but also, of course, in COVID, you have lots more time to yourself. Well, I do anyway, because I live on my own. And so this business of active listening is something that I do daily. I don't know how else to come to music. And so, that to me is the ultimate in terms of how to approach music. And I'm not making a judgment and saying that, you ought to sit down in deep reflection as you ponder the intricacies of Coltrane or whatever. I'm not saying that. Everyone has their own ways of listening to music, and there is fun and frivolity in music. I mean, in fact, I have a thing on Instagram where I post my in my stories, my sing-alongs. It's just me acting a fool, really, and just singing along to whatever, tickles my fancy that day. And so I'm listening to, singing along to some Sam Cooke, or today some Barry White, and just having fun. And there is fun and frivolity, which is a part of the human experience. And thus, obviously, how we approach music must incorporate that fun and frivolity, yeah? But, deep listening is something that it's so natural to me. And perhaps I am, someone who is just more reflective. And so I like that time with my music. And so it takes me a longer time to go through records. I've had the same records in circulation for about the last month or so. And that's been mostly jazz records. And I'm thinking of doing a separate video on just the question of jazz itself. There are a couple of things I want to talk about in relation to that, or sort of reflect on in relation to jazz itself. And I think that I don't want to kind of bring those things into this video so much, because they're kind of specific to that genre, in my view. So yeah. So I'm not saying that, again, you have to be a deep, active listener, but there is something for me that I take longer because I am deep listening to a record, playing it over and over again. And I think jazz itself lends itself to that deep listening and that constant discovery. And, so there's certain genres that just lend themselves to that. But yeah, I told Alan, I said, Alan, I'm kind of surprised sometimes at how quickly people are able to go through their new vinyl editions, because I just take so long. I take long to just go through a record and listen to it. But that brings me to a separate point, and I'm going to read directly from what Alan was saying in his response to my comment. So let me just pull my phone up here and then read to you directly what Alan said, which really stood out for me. He says, "The act of slowing down is an art in itself, whatever we're doing. The restorative power of deep, active listening could be prescribed as a medicine for stress and depression even." And that's where I am with my music, that right now, and always, I think, but now in particular, my music is particularly therapeutic for me at this time of my life. I am going to my music, my vinyl records, as something that is meant to have a therapeutic application. And so I know I mentioned in my first ever video, my first introductory video, talking about Coltrane, my favorite things, and I find myself reaching for summertime a few times a week. Sometimes I'll just play side B just to hear summertime, because there is a medicine inside of that arrangement that I need. It's not a rational process, it's not an intellectual process, but I definitely just do need to listen to that arrangement of music, because it just clears me out, and I need that. And so that deep listening is something that I need to heal. It's just a healing therapeutic benefit for me right now. Another favorite in terms of the healing bit, Buena Vista Social Club. This record, it's two records really, or two discs rather. And so this one is something that the tones, the feeling tones of the music are what I need. And I think that there is a relationship between, let's say, what the individual needs. There is a relationship between what the individual needs in terms of, let's say, certain vibratory tones and frequencies available in music, that we need on this sort of frequential level. There is a match between our emotional state and the kind of music that we're seeking. And so I think that your body and the way that you process sound, your body knows what you need in terms of the frequencies and sounds that it needs to hear, to incorporate for you to heal. That's just my personal musing and my direct experience of music, that I think there is a part of you that reaches for and instinctively knows the kind of music that you need, which is a match for your frequency, and which is a match in terms of aligning your own frequential pattern. So in my view, we are electromagnetic beings, and there is from that simple standpoint, we reached for certain bits of music to help us to align our frequency. And I think that your body just knows it's not here. And I think it was Davis Winchester who was talking about, oh, what's the phrase? Something about soul power, not mind power, but soul power. Davis, if I'm misquoting you, I'm so sorry. But it was basically the idea that there is something inside of you that knows what you need. And I think when it comes to the therapeutic application of music, again, that you just reach toward, you instinctively know what tones you need to balance out your field. And so that's quite clear for me. And so my music is definitely therapeutic. And then the act of deep active listening is something that really enhances and augments the therapeutic capacity of the music that I'm listening to. So, there's that piece. All right. But then in terms of a principle that guides my collecting process, I was thinking to myself that when I buy a record, what am I really saying when I buy records? Now, I get records obviously in different ways. Some you get, some, people might be selling a house and they have this huge collection left behind, and you get some really amazing stuff for nothing because they just are clearing out, and there's always that. And but when I purchase a record, what I think I'm really saying is that I want the highest possible expression of the relationship between me and the music that I'm about to buy. I don't want to stream it. I'm marrying the music. I'm marrying my records. And so I am consummating our relationship by buying it and having it on vinyl. When I buy a record, I'm saying that I want the ultimate experience of this piece of music, which to me is, having it physically. And so that's it for me. I'm entering into a long-term relationship with this piece of music, and I want to enjoy it at the highest possible level, involving all of my senses. And so, it's a consummation, really. I'm consummating the relationship. And then, so in terms of buying records, the music that stirs me the most is what I really want to have. The music that affects me the most. It's not a rational process, but the music that hits me in a certain way. I want that. I want the highest possible relationship with that music, and I want the highest possible pleasure from that engagement. And so when I come to my records, they should be mostly filled with music that stirs my soul and is the ultimate experience for me of listening to music. So my collection, when I come to it, it should be filled with things that are moving me at a really, really deep level, and also which have a profound therapeutic benefit. And so, yeah, those are a few of the musings that I've been, a few of the reflections that I've been kind of having, the few thoughts in my mind in the last few days. And so I'm just so thankful to everyone for their thoughtful content and helping me to sort of clarify for myself, how do I come to music and what music means to me. So yeah, that's it for me today, folks. A long kind of reflective video, but I hope that you can appreciate this one nonetheless. So take good care. Talk soon. Bye.